Hello, everyone. Welcome to Trades Talk. I am your host, Pop Culture Mechanic. You can call me Pop for short. And if you're new to the stream, I take a look at the skilled trades and the economy from an industrial point of view. And also have articles and pictures and videos of projects I've been a part of. So let's take a break from some of the other stuff out there on YouTube and have a look here. First, I'd like to welcome David Glenn. Welcome, David. Nice to see you. And as I so often do, I will get out there and have a look at some of the news, courtesy of the Canadian Manufacturing. There it is. So a couple of articles caught my eye here. The first one, why Canada must act urgently to give undocumented migrants legal status. Right off the bat, this headline throws up a lot of red flags for me. I don't think it's a good idea. What we call undocumented migrants are also known as illegal aliens. You've entered the country illegally. Why should you be given legal status for doing something like breaking the law? Anyways, let's see what whoever wrote this and what they're talking about here. This is from Delphine Nakachi, a law professor at Ottawa University. Professor Lincoln Alexander, Law School of Toronto. Jason Foster, Professor of Human Resources and Labor Relations at Athabasca, and Lewin Goldring, Professor of Sociology, York University. Okay, so these are all professors. These are people who don't do any kind of physical labor for a living. They're all just people who yap for a living. They yap and indoctrinate students. So let's hear what they have to say. But before that, hey, Alex Moore, how you doing? Good to see you. And DJ Ronnie G. Hi, DJ. Make it home yet? This starts out here. The composition of undocumented migrant population in Canada is diverse and complex. Since the Canadian government announced in December 2021 its intention to address the estimated 300,000 to 600,000 migrants living without authorization in Canada, civil society organizations and migrant representatives have called for Ottawa to deliver a broad and inclusive regularization program that gives status to undocumented people. Once again, I ask why? Why do that? Advocates like the Canadian Council for Refugees have argued that the current situation is mostly due to changes and gaps in immigration policies, and that the government has an obligation to offer pathways to permanency for those who have been pushed to precarity. I don't think the government has an obligation, really. No, not really. The people, if I go and I walk across the U.S. border, I'm going to be arrested and thrown in jail. I will not be welcomed. I will not be taken care of. I can guarantee you that, 100%. Undocumented migrants' major economic and social contributions have been highlighted along with the need to end their abuse and exploitation. Okay. A lot has been written on why regularization program is needed, but less on what an effective program should look like. To do so requires better understanding of those who live among us without status and without access to basic rights in Canada, yet our research has shown the composition of the undocumented migrant population in Canada is diverse and complex. Once again, they're repeating themselves. In 2018, our team received funding from Canada's Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council to conduct a 5-year project examining temporary migrants in Canada and their lived experiences in this country. Okay, temporary. Temporary, they said. We sought to study the multitude of legal statuses held by temporary migrants and explore why and how migrants move in and out of authorized legal status. The project involved field research conducted between October 2019 and June 2022 in 4 provinces: Alberta, British Columbia, Ontario, Quebec. It focused on cities Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, but also included smaller communities in all 4 provinces: Brooks, Nanaimo, Windsor, and Quebec City, respectively. The research team conducted interviews with 148 migrants with lived experiences of having temporary work authorization, losing status, and attempting to gain or regain secure immigration status. They know it's going to run out. It's called temporary work. You know when it's going to run out. It's not like it's all of a sudden sneaks up. Right, I forgot. I can't work here all the time. I'm temporary. Why can't you just plan for this? What's the matter with you guys? DJ, you're tempted to pretend you don't speak English so you can get ID and YC, an ID for anyone who has no proof of who they are. Yeah, they give those out? I have no idea, David. Migrant participants came from 35 countries and had diverse experiences. For example, some had entered Canada as temporary migrant workers, while others had arrived as refugee claimants, visitors, or international students. Additionally, 63 interviews were conducted with key stakeholders, for example, municipal civil servants, researchers, migrant representatives, and on-the-ground practitioners such as legal and other service providers. 2 findings are worth noting. First, temporary migrants' trajectories are far from being linear and predictable. In line with other recent research, these trajectories involve multiple and time-consuming shifts in legal status, such as authorized to unauthorized, study permit to work permit to temporary resident permit, and open work permit to employer-specific work permit, to name a few. In their struggle to retain or regain their right to stay and work in Canada, 66% of the migrant participants switched at least 3 times from one temporary migration status to another. This means there's no clear relationship between arriving in a specific immigration entrance category and losing one's status once in Canada. Second status changes, if successful, mainly involve changing from one temporary status to another and rarely lead to permanent residence. They can also lead to being without status. At the time of the interviews, 80% of migrant participants had no permanent status, while only 20% had attained permanent residency or citizenship. This means that many study participants have failed in their attempts to regularize their status, whether through an application of permanent residence or even another temporary category. This reflects what recent research and policy reports note about the very limited pathways to permanent residency for people without status. This is important because precarious status is linked to marginalization in communities and vulnerability to exploitation by employers. And I'm sure the employers love that. The government recently announced it's pausing its regularization plans, but there's no room for further delay. Regularization is urgently needed now to provide a concrete solution to the legal limbo currently experienced by many people who have no status. As our findings suggest, and as had been advocated by both civil society and migrant workers or migrant rights organizations, small and narrow regularization measures are not the answer. Canada needs a regularization program that isn't limited to a specific category or profile or temporary migrants. It must be straightforward and safe for all applicants by leading directly to permanent residence. Temporary migrants will continue to lose status and face heightened vulnerability as long as the key components of migrant illegalization are not properly addressed. Beyond regularization, it's crucial that the federal government recognizes and addresses the many structural problems of the current migration system that result in migrants living and working in Canada without authorized immigration status. These include, among others, employer-specific or tied work permits, delayed in immigration proceedings, and lack of legal aid for temporary migrants. I mean, yeah, if they come here to work temporarily and they try to stay, don't let them stay. It's like you have your time here and then you're supposed to go back to your country. Just do that. Don't try to sneak and stay here and play the system. Oh, I'm changing my status from this to this. Oh no, I'm changing my status from this to this. I got no sympathy. I really don't. You're gonna come in here and then stick around when you're supposed to go back. I'm sorry. You go back. Don't try to laze around and screw around with our system. But that's that one. I saw this one. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. Boeing accepts a plea deal to avoid a criminal trial over 737 MAX crashes. I definitely want to know about this. The plea deal, which still must receive the approval of a federal judge, will take effect. Calls for Boeing to pay an additional $243 million fine. That's it? Hey, Godzillionaire, how you doing? Yeah, or just don't let them stay in the first place. I mean, that's the thing too. They know exactly what they're doing. They're gaming the system. They're just screwing around. You know, it's disheartening for us. You know, the people that are working here, and we know that they're getting the health care and all the stuff they can, where our taxes are paying for. And yeah, I would just say, you know, they know exactly what they're doing. But you know, Trudeau loves the people he can bring in to vote for him. Punishable if fine equals legal for a price. Yeah. Boeing will plead guilty to a criminal fraud charge stemming from 2 crashes of 737 MAX jetliners that killed 346 people, the Justice Department said on July 7th, after the government determined the company violated an agreement that had protected it from prosecution for more than 3 years. Federal prosecutors gave Boeing the choice last week of entering a guilty plea and paying a fine as part of its sentence, or facing a trial on the felony criminal charge of conspiracy to defraud the United States. Prosecutors accused the American aerospace giant of deceiving regulators who approved the airplane and pilot training requirements for it. The plea deal, which still must receive the approval of a federal judge to take effect, calls for Boeing to pay an additional $243 million fine. This was the same amount it paid under the 2021 settlement that the Justice Department said the company breached. An independent monitor would be named to oversee Boeing's safety and quality procedures for 3 years. The deal also requires Boeing to invest at least $455 million in its compliance and safety programs. The plea deal covers only wrongdoings by Boeing before the crashes in Indonesia and in Ethiopia, which killed all 346 passengers and crew members aboard 2 new MAX jets. It does not give Boeing immunity for other incidents, including a panel that blew off a MAX jetliner during an Alaska Airlines flight over Oregon in January, a Justice Department official said. The deal also does not cover any current or former Boeing officials, only the corporation. Okay, now that's bullshit right there. You should hold people responsible. Don't treat a corporation like it's a person, because it is not. You need, like the president of Boeing or whatever, he needs to be held accountable. Wherever he is, CEO, whatever. It's idiotic that they can say, oh no, it's just the corporation. Corporation doesn't care. It can't go to jail. It's like a non-entity. In a statement, Boeing confirmed it had reached the deal with the Justice Department, but had no further comment. In a filing on July 7th, the Justice Department said it expected to submit the written plea agreement with a U.S. District Attorney in Texas by July 19th. Lawyers for some of the relatives of those who died in the 2 crashes said they will ask the judge to reject the agreement. This sweetheart deal fails to recognize that because of Boeing's conspiracy, 346 people died. Through crafty lawyering between Boeing and Department of Justice, the deadly consequences of Boeing's crime are being hidden, said Paul Castle, a lawyer for some of the families. Federal prosecutors alleged Boeing committed conspiracy to defraud the government by misleading regulators about a flight control system that was implicated in the crashes, which took place less than 5 months apart. As part of the January 2021 settlement, the Justice Department said it would not prosecute Boeing on the charge if the company complied with certain conditions for 3 years. Prosecutors last month alleged Boeing has breached the terms of that agreement. U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor, who has overseen the case from the beginning, has criticized what he called Boeing's egregious criminal conduct. O'Connor could accept the plea and the sentence that prosecutors offered with it, or he could reject the agreement, likely leading to new negotiations between the Justice Department and Boeing. The case goes back to the crashes in Indonesia and in Ethiopia. The Lion Air pilots in the first crash did not know about flight control software that could push the nose of the plane down without their input. The pilots for the Ethiopian Airlines knew about it, but were unable to control the plane when the software activated based on information from a faulty sensor. Like, what is up with that? What is this? Was it running on Windows? Was it, you got a thing, there shouldn't be any kind of software that can move your plane around. That's just idiotic. especially when it takes down two of them. I just don't believe it. This is utter nonsense. The CEOs wouldn't even need to think once about not cutting corners if they knew that they could go to jail and lose their assets. Yeah, they should actually force these guys to fly on these planes every flight. It's like, no, you get on that plane and you fly with them. Better hope it's one that made through quality control. The Justice Department charged Boeing in 2021 with deceiving FAA regulators about the software which did not exist in older 737s and about how much training pilots would need to fly the plane safely. The department agreed not to prosecute Boeing at the time, however, if the company paid a $2.5 billion settlement. Paid it to who? Paid it to the government? The Justice Department? Was it just like a fancy way of saying, pay us off and yeah, we'll forget about it? Including the $243 million fine, and took steps to comply with anti-fraud laws for 3 years. Boeing, which blamed two low-level employees for misleading the rate. Yeah. Here we go. Boeing, which blamed two low-level employees who were probably, they probably ran the brooms and cleaned up the place for misleading regulators, tried to put the crashes behind it after grounding MAX jets for 20 months. Regulators let them fly again after the company reduced the power of the flight software. MAX jets logged thousands of safe flights, and orders from airlines picked up, increasing to about 750 in 2021, about 700 more in 2022, and nearly 1,000 in 2023. That changed in January when the panel covering an unused emergency exit blew off a MAX during the Alaska Airlines flight over Oregon. Sounds like the General Dynamics F-16s you worked on back in the early 80s. Oh, you had 5 plane crashes in 2 years. You were at Hill Air Force Base in Utah. Oh, wow. I did not know that, David. That is crazy that they would have that many crashes. Pilots landed the 737 MAX safely and no one was seriously injured, but the incident led to closer scrutiny of the company. The Justice Department opened a new investigation. The FBI told passengers on the Alaska plane that they might be victims of a crime, and the FAA said it was stepping up oversight of Boeing. A criminal conviction could jeopardize Boeing's status as a federal contractor, according to some legal experts. The plea announced Sunday does not address that question, leaving it to each government agency whether to bar Boeing. Oh man, Airbus would just love this, wouldn't they? Airbus and Bombardier. I mean, yeah, without having Boeing in the running. At a recent Senate hearing, Boeing CEO David Calhoun defended the company's safety record after turning and apologizing to MAX crash victims' relatives seated in the rows behind him for the grief that we have caused. Hours before the hearing, the Senate Investigations Subcommittee released a 204-page report with new allegations from a whistleblower who said he worried that defective parts could be going into 737s. The whistleblower was the latest in a string of current and former Boeing employees who have raised safety concerns about the company and claimed they faced retaliation as a result. Did that guy live? Do we know? Did the Boeing boogeyman come and get him too? Because that's been known to happen, strangely enough, surprisingly, out of nowhere, not suspicious at all. Oh, you're a whistleblower? Whoa! Hope you've got your insurance paid up and picked out a coffin. Have they retrieved the astronauts from the space station yet? That's another Boeing snafu. Oh, really? I had no idea, David. So yeah, that's the Boeing fiasco that's going on right now. We'll have to see what happens. And that was just from yesterday, so hopefully we get some news as to what's going to happen. Let's have a look at some other stories here. CIRB says that strike notice by BC ship and dock foreman contravenes the Canada Labour Code. So they've been stuck up there for a week now. Okay. I mean, those guys, yeah, they know that it's pretty high risk going up into space. DJ, you think the capsule will re-enter fine? Yeah, I mean, that's what we hope for. You don't need anybody else dying from being up in space. We've had enough tragedies with that. Yeah, I just hope that I haven't heard anything about that yet, though. If not for Boeing's other issues, it wouldn't look so awful. Yeah, 1 extra week? Okay. Let's have a look here. What do we got? Polystyrvert secures $60 million investment for styrene plastics recycling plant. Okay, so you're going to recycle styrene plastics? I'm curious. Montreal. Polystyrvert, a company specializing in recycling technologies for styrenic plastics, closes the first part of its Series B funding with over $16 million. The investment will aid in construction its first commercial plant in Quebec, dedicated to recycling highly contaminated polystyrene waste. The funding is supported by European and North American investors. Other investors will participate in the second tranche of this financing to enable the Series B round to raise up to $30 million. Boeing Aerospace and Screen Door Company. Yeah, David. Yeah. What do you mean? Doesn't the space station need a screen door? This announcement shows support for our investors in our team and our proven technology, which is not only economically viable, but also represents the shortest recycling loop for this type of waste, greatly reducing its environmental footprint, said Nathalie Morin, President and CEO, Polystyrvert. The funding will also expand Polystyrvert's intellectual property portfolio, which includes over 40 patents. Infinity Recycling led the funding round, joined by Swen Blue Ocean and Earth Foundry. Polystyrvert has developed a unique technology to recycle styrenic polymers. It combines the best of mechanical and chemical recycling with low cost, small-scale units, ability to treat contaminated feedstock, and virgin quality end products. This technology will create new markets for styrenic polymer wastes and help divert them from nature and landfill, said Olivier Rebaud, managing director at Swen Blue Ocean. The first commercial plant in Montreal is expected to be operational in 2026, pending the completion of the Series B funding round totaling up to $30 million. Well, I'm curious. They didn't say what they were going to turn it into, all this polystyrene. And like you say, David, waxworms can digest polystyrene. That's interesting. I did not know that. So really, you just need a big farm of waxworms. But what are these guys going to turn it into? They didn't say. You know, that's great. Hey, yay, look at us. We're recycling. Yay. Okay. What comes out the other end? Tell us. Don't keep it a big secret. Yeah, we'll wait and see. York Region secures $76 million federal funding for electric bus fleet expansion. I mean, you can have electric buses easily. It shouldn't be touted as being, patting yourself on the back going, haha, I'm good. I do good. Yeah, you can have, I've lived in big cities and they've had electric buses long before anybody was like touting how great they are. Keen to be sustainable after dying, earth to earth, cradle to comp. Oh no. No. Is this what I think it is? Are you going to have biodegradable coffins or something? Let's have a look here. Natural organic reduction turns the human body into soil. Despite expanding legislation and increasing popularity, sustainable death care options are still relatively unknown. Some say this is because death and death care services for burying and cremating the dead are taboo topics, so not openly discussed. Others maintain society discourages us from discussing death. I mean, it's not the best topic to talk about. It's necessary, though, and I find as you get older, you start thinking about it more and more. I can speak from my experience. You know, you go to bed and you think to yourself, I wonder if I'm going to actually wake up in the morning. It happens. Recent data, however, shows that over half of the Americans surveyed would be interested in green or sustainable death care options. Sustainable death care becoming a sought-after option, and its providers are quickly becoming a presence and a viable competitor in this industry. An emerging phenomenon is the interest in the acceptance of sustainable death care options in tandem with recent legalization of natural organic reduction or human composting, which has become legalized in parts of the United States. What is human composting? Nor is the process that turns the human body into soil. Popular media sometimes refer to this as cradle to compost. The movement is credited to have its genesis with the establishment of Recompose, a company founded in 2017 with the mission to provide a sustainable option for death care using Nor. Yeah, DJ, last Sunday's show. So Soylent Green? Soylent Green is people! Human composting is becoming increasingly viewed as a legitimate option by consumers, particularly as it gaining regulatory approval in the U.S. Washington State passed legislation in 2019, followed by Colorado and Oregon in 2021, Vermont and California in 2022, New York, Nevada in 2023, and Arizona, Maryland, Delaware in 2024. Bills are pending in Connecticut, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Hampshire, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Utah, and Virginia. In Canada, human composting, while not yet legal, is also gaining popularity, and Canadians can now turn to Return Home, a Seattle-based company, for their human composting options. Does saving the planet cost more? Oh, here we go. Currently, death care service in the United States costs over $7,800 for a funeral with interment, at around $7,000 for cremation. Recompose charges around $7,000 for its human composting process. For those seeking sustainability, funerals have drawbacks as they use chemicals for embalming that leach into the earth. Many use caskets that are resource-intensive and expensive. Burials require land for cemeteries, which can be challenging in areas with limited space. Don't you tell me trying to save the planet. When I'm dead, I don't care anymore. I don't care now. I'll tell you right now. The way they want us to save the planet. We can do good things to keep it healthy for us, but these guys are meatheads that don't have any kind of brain or any critical thinking about this kind of stuff. You know, you gotta cut down on the pollution. Don't worry about greenhouse gases, and don't tell me how to die. Party David part me out like an old car. Give those parts to the youngins, the people that need it. Cremations require intensive energy use and can also emit harmful gases into the environment. It is estimated that cremations produce 573 pounds of carbon dioxide per cremated body. I don't believe that, and I think that's a lie. How can you produce 573 pounds? Let's say you're a 200-pound man. You know, and I don't know what it takes. 24 hours to cremate a body? And it's CO2. It's good for the trees. Plants love CO2. Who cares? Like, shut up with this. Industry estimates project that Nor saves about 1 metric ton of CO2 compared to traditional funerals and corpse disposal. I'll say again, CO2 is good. Plants love it. What do consumers want? Consumer interest in sustainable death care is booming, with an estimated increase in online searches for sustainable options of over 71%. Godzilla, 24 hours? What are you, slow cooking your body? Hey, why not? Low and slow? Yeah, I'm not too sure. My father passed on. He got cremated, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe it takes 8 hours. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I have some of his ashes in a little urn. Of course, my mother has the big urn, and all the children got like smaller urns. And yeah, it's ashes. Like if you get cremated, big deal. It they say it wastes makes a bunch of CO2. So big deal. It doesn't take up any space in, like they're saying, where cemeteries take up space. You don't take up any space. You're pretty much your ashes, so you can get them spread and use them in the soil or whatever. While some are clearly legitimizing sustainable death care options, there has also been backlash from religious organizations. For example, the Catholic Church has indicated it considers human composting disrespectful to the human body. Other opponents liken it to feeding humans to humans, referring to the cult movie Soylent Green. Hey, we said that already. And others saying it is composting grandma. But that happens anyway. Like, doesn't that happen anyway? Your body breaks down. You're in the casket. Your body's going to break down. The casket is going to rot eventually. That's the way I look at it. I mean, you're turning into compost. It just takes a longer amount of time. That's all. Hey, DJ, it's by the pound, X hours per N pounds. Okay. You love the saying, you want your remains spread at Disney World? I don't want to be cremated, though. Yeah, that's all right. Advocates of NOR, however, focus on the environmental benefits. Here we go. Time to get hit over the head with environmental stuff, right? Reducing the carbon footprint, leaching of harmful chemicals, resource intensity and pollution, as well as social benefits. For example, growing trees in the soil as memorials to loved ones. Wider lack of information and lack of sustainable options offered by the funeral industry is not stopping consumers from seeking out sustainable alternatives. How do consumers seek out information when looking for sustainable death care options when there's so little information available to them? We found that consumers look to social media and the influence of others. Don't look to influencers. Don't do that. They'll do anything for money. Our research found that consumers look for online word of mouth to seek information and options. They are influenced by the comments of others. So look to celebrity endorsements. Don't do that either. Celebrities will say anything you pay them to say. For example, leading company is Sustainable Death Care Recompose has attracted high-profile investors such as Margaret Atwood. Archbishop Desmond Tutu's body underwent alkaline hydrolysis, or water cremation, where the body is immersed in a mixture of water and alkali. Actor Luke Perry was buried in a mushroom suit, where the body is buried in organic cotton infused with mushroom mycelium and other microorganisms that speed up decomposition. I didn't know Luke Perry died. Wow, I haven't really kept up on that kind of stuff, following actors and that, but okay. Another industry poised for shakeup. While consumers are pushing for sustainable death care options, our research has found that there is little momentum from the funeral industry to include increasing sustainable death care options. Of course they don't want to do that. Do you think they don't want to get their money from embalming and cremating people? Of course not. They shoot themselves in the foot. It's no surprise that the current funeral industry has estimated to be worth over $20 billion in the U.S. might be resistant to change. Furthermore, consumers largely make decisions about death care services when grieving for family members, thus are vulnerable to pushy sales tactics, upselling, or confusing pricing for funeral services. Whether the industry is ready or not, sustainable death care is predicted to become $1 billion market and is poised to take over a large market share of the existing funeral industry. Also, you won't know when you're dead what your family is going to do anyway, unless you make it completely 100% clear what you want. Scope AI to acquire quantum security technology. Atkins Realis adds L3 Harris as a CANDU ambassador. CANDU is our atomic reactors in Canada. Via HFR announces new board members. Who cares? Maple Leaf Foods to separate pork business into independent public company. What is that all about? And why would you separate your pork business? In Mississauga, Maple Leaf Foods plans to split the business into two independent public companies. It'll spin off its pork business into a newly publicly traded company, and Maple Leaf will be a more focused brand-led CPG company. The hell does CPG mean? Curtis Frank, president and CEO of Maple Leaf Foods, said, as a separate companies, Maple Leaf Foods and the new pork company will each have exciting prospects, a sharpened execution focus with its own dedicated management team, and the financial independence to pursue its own value creation strategy with all the uncompromising commitment to safety and sustainability. Sounds like a scam. Your loved one was disposed of sustainably by being thrown into a pit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, DJ. SMR, small modular reactor. That's the CANDU reactor. Fatback? We'll see what happens here. Maple Leaf Foods will retain 19.9% ownership position in the new pork company, and the two companies will enter into an evergreen pork supply agreement. Maple Leaf Foods will continue to be led by Curtis Frank, President and CEO, Adam Grogan, President and COO, and David Smalls, CFO. The new pork company will be led by Dennis Organ, incoming CEO of the new pork company. His last name's Organ. I wonder if they're going to have organ meat. Anyways, yeah, that's, I'll see myself out now. This is the right transaction at the right time as we move forward with our own sustainability vision, seeking to create value for all stakeholders, said Michael H. McCain, Executive Chair of Maple Leaf Foods. Under Curtis leadership, Maple Leaf Foods is on a path to deliver best-in-class consumer packaged goods performance, while the new pork company under the leadership of Dennis will be unleashed to leverage its unique capabilities and industry-leading performances, take advantage of new prospects for growth. The transaction, which is subject to shareholder approval, expected to be completed in 2025. I still wonder why. Why would you separate yourself out like that? Specifically, a pork business. Are things not going well in the pork industry? I'm just wondering, are they trying to protect themselves? That way that business can go belly up if they need to have pork belly up. Could be pork belly up, and then the Maple Leaf itself will be fine. Ah, man, it's a neat to speculate what they might be doing it for if they don't come out outright try to tell you, and then even then you might not even believe them. But yeah, that's going on. And then Verdantix research shows that regulatory focus on forced labor in Europe will drive a $7 billion market in supply chain software. Vivro launches extra CTAP water dispenser. Black Swan launches fourth gem product. MMT's a buzz with AI talk, productivity focus, and sales pressures. Okay, we'll hit this one. Ontario and Alberta partner to create more opportunities for skilled workers. This is what we're all about here. We're all about the skilled trades, and we'll see what Ontario and Alberta partnership is going to do. This partnership will put Canadian workers first by reducing interprovincial barriers and red tape for credential recognition and encourage the flow of labor between Ontario and Alberta. Calgary. The governments of Ontario and Alberta are supporting a framework for collaboration on international credential recognition and post-journeyman certification. This partnership will put Canadian workers first by reducing interprovincial barriers and red tape for credential recognition and encourage the flow of labor between Ontario and Alberta. Ontario is seeking ways to open pathways into trades for more apprentices and remove barriers for internationally trained workers to fill in demand labor needs locally. At the same time, Alberta is looking to expand its list of international credentials to address gaps in the skilled labor market and fill openings in high-demand fields. That's fine, just make sure you vet them very well. I don't want Buddy coming from, X country and saying he is a skilled tradesman when we find out he's lying. And the only way you find that out is if you say you're a welder, okay, you're going to do a welding test. We're going to test you here. Here's a rod. Here's your welding machine. I need you to weld these two pieces of metal together, and then we're going to test them and x-ray them and all that kind of stuff. You're a pipe fitter? Okay, we're going to get you to do some pipe fitting. Do stuff like that. Don't just be like, oh, hey, you got your ticket from this country? Okay, come on in. You're good. Don't do that. You're going to put people's lives at stake. Safety should be number one when it comes to stuff like that, because they're going to do something. They're going to get people killed. And we don't want that out on the job. I don't want it. Nobody else wants it. The next guy doesn't want it either. Back fat? You can't hang with the back fat? More like back bacon. Come on now. We like back bacon. Under the Memorandum of Understanding, or the MOU, the provinces work together to share expertise and information and explore an international credential recognition framework for skilled trades that will enhance this process and support mobility between these jurisdictions. A common framework could lead to more internationally skilled workers with verified credentials to write the certifying exam. This agreement marks a significant step forward in addressing the skilled labor shortage in Alberta, said Rajan Sawani, Alberta's Minister of Advanced Education. By expanding our international credential recognition and working with our partners with the Government of Ontario, we can welcome more talented individuals and ensure our economy remains competitive and dynamic. Private sector industry and labor stakeholders have identified a need for post-journeyman upgrade courses and credentials to meet the evolving needs of the Canadian economy. This partnership between Alberta and Ontario will help expand offerings for post-journeyman certifications to support graduates of apprenticeship programs in upskilling and achieving pathways to future their career prospects. The Ontario government is advancing forward from its previous four Working for Workers Acts by introducing new First in Canada supports and even stronger protections that would open pathways into the skilled trades and remove barriers to employment. This will be done by making the forward credential system outcomes-oriented by requiring regulated professions to have a policy to accept alternatives, where standard registration-related documents cannot be obtained for reasons beyond an applicant's control, such as war or natural disasters. If passed, Ontario would be the first province in Canada to have this legislation. The MOU will allow Ontario and Alberta to better fill short and long-term needs for the skilled tradespeople. As a result, through rigorous credential assessment, we'll have proactively identified pools of highly skilled tradespeople. We're eager to enhance worker mobility and strategic recruitment for the benefit of both provinces, said Melissa Young, Registrar and CEO, Skilled Trades Ontario. Well, that's fine. Like I say, I want them vetted. You're coming in here from another country, you're saying you can do stuff? Prove it. Prove it that you can do it. Well, all right. Let's move along now to video. And for today's subject, like I wrote, when castings wear out. Well, have I got a thing for you guys here? Let me just get this all set up here. Ba-bum, ba-ba-bum, ba-bum. So yesterday I got called over to a pump, which was kicking out, setting off the breaker. So I headed over and had a look. I took off the guard covering the coupling and twisted it, and I could feel as I was rotating the pump shaft, there's a spot where it was hanging up. It was sticking, and it was harder to turn to get by that one spot. And I'm like, okay, it can be the motor or the pump. So I disconnected the coupling and I spun the motor. Motor's fine. I turned the pump shaft again, and yeah, I'm like, okay, I can feel drag. Something's dragging. So I took it apart. I took it off the mount, the foundation, and brought it back to the shop and took it apart, and I will show you my findings. So, actually, before I get to the findings here, show you guys this, and there we go. So, move along. Yep, we're moving right along, DJ. You guys might remember this is dated back February. This pump, which is the pump I got called over to look at, it had the problem with the bearing failure, with the cage failing. Okay, that's fine. Cage fails, no problem. This was also the one that had that little bit of wear in the housing that the bearing sits in. There it is, right there. A little bit of wear there. It's hard to see with the oil there, but we'll get better shot of it here. This looks a little better. You can see it, sort of see it there. Not as good here because the camera focused on the outside rather than the inside. That's a little better. You can see that wear mark there. That's where the bearing sits. And this is back in February. Your e-bike motor is making a clicking noise like it's missing just one ball bearing. It could be. You never know. Okay, so that was that pump then. And today I took some video. You guys, we can watch it here. I'll just hit the play button. That's the pump type of pump it is. It's not very large. I'm going to get a shot in the inside now. And I'm going to pull out my flashlight. There we go. That, it's tough to see, but too much direct light on it. That thing has gotten a lot worse, and I don't know what's causing it. I don't know what is eating away at that metal. Is it just the flow of the oil? Is the oil doing it? Is it the fact that the rotation of the shaft is causing it to do that wear? I'm not sure. So I try to zoom in on it a bit. And yeah, we can have a look there. Pack it with more grease. That's the answer in a normal hub. No, DJ, oil only, man. No grease. No grease for this thing. It looks like it's wearing there. No, not cavitation. There shouldn't be any cavitation in there. The explosion of the bubble, the implosion of the bubbles, the oil should not do that. But yeah, so there it is. There, it's worn. Either I have concentricity issue or it could be vibration. Okay, Godzillionaire. So that's what it looks like inside here. And I needed this proof to show the higher up guys that we need to buy a new one. Because I don't think there's any repairing that. That's worn away. So over here, now I really wanted to show you guys this today too, because you can see, and it might be a little bit difficult, but there's flat spots on that bearing where the outer race was slipping. So that the wearing of that casing where it holds the bearing is allowing the bearing to slip now. And there are flat spots on the outside where that thing the outer race should not spin at all. It's supposed to be held captive. The inner race is supposed to spin. But you can see, and I tried to get a good close-up look at it, the flat spots where the bearing has spun. And then I had already put the new one on the shaft. You can see there are no flat spots. Then there's the one that's at the back. That one was perfectly fine. So I tried to get a little better angle at it. And not a bad little camera. So there you go. That is what I would dealt with today. Having the flat spot of that bearing. So now I have reassembled it. We have three pumps. So that one I've told those guys, you can only use this in an emergency. It won't last very long. I checked the runout on the shaft, almost like there's too much between the front and rear bearing. Actually, no, Godzillionaire, I didn't check the runout. I probably should have done that. That's a my bad not doing that. Hey, it's Tits. How you doing? You see her bearings? Good old Nami. My waifu. So yeah, I have the shot of what it looked like back in February, and I swear it's gotten worse. But I think we're gonna have to buy a new one because this is not repairable, or it might be not cost effective to repair this. They could. I mean, obviously you spray weld it and then send it to the machine shop where they will use a boring machine and, take it down. But yeah, I don't think they'll agree to that. Just a little JB Weld. You'd be surprised about how many people told me to do that today. They're like, "Hey, just use some JB Weld," and I'm like, "No, I will not." Good luck welding oil-soaked cast iron. Oh yeah. Have you tried duct tape? Well, maybe Gorilla Tape. It'll just eat the weld of admin. You're back in the same spot 3 months later? Yeah, I'm not... I told them to use this as a backup. We have 2 other pumps. We can use those instead. It'll give us enough time to buy one and get it shipped over. It'll probably take about, 3 to 4 weeks for us to get it. But I'm thinking that would be a good idea for us to just get another one. This thing is old enough as it is. So yeah, I'm gonna try to do that. I can bring you guys an update too when we get a new one. We'll retire this one and then yeah. Yeah, not a lot. Yeah, you're right, Tits. Not a lot we can do with cast iron once it starts stressing. Like, when it starts eating, when things get worn away like that, to me, that's crazy. Like it was sitting in that one spot and just vibrating or something. I don't know. We run these pumps pretty good. Like, if they turn one on, it usually runs 24/7, and then for however many days until shutdown. So it'll run months constantly. Summer, winter, all that stuff. So I'm surprised they last as long as they do anyway. But a lot of them will get rebuilt every shutdown. So we have shaft seals like this thing up here. This is one of the shaft seals. We have spare bearings. We even have spare shafts, impellers, all that kind of stuff. I think we might even have a spare volute, which is this thing here. So we might even have that kicking around. And there's the impeller. There's the spring seal, the mechanical seal. That's usually what leaks, what we have trouble with. Usually the mechanical seal. Not this time around, though, so that's good. They're actually very expensive. Those the cartridge style mechanical seals are pretty expensive. I don't think these ones are as bad. They're just kind of a pain to put in. Yeah, and there's the other shaft seal on the back end. And taking it apart isn't too bad. The bearings on the shaft here, just got to make sure to remove the snap rings. Move the snap rings, take it over to the hydraulic press. Boom, pop it off. Turn it around. Boom, pop the other one off. We're good to go. And then I bought what we didn't have before was a bearing heater. So I bought one of those back in March. And now I can properly heat up these bearings to put them on the shaft. Which, by the way, you're limited to 250 Fahrenheit for heating up these bearings. You don't heat them up any hotter than that. Heat them up to 250, pull them off the heater and put them on the shaft. Make sure they slide all the way down where they need to go. And then just let it cool onto the shaft. And it's everything's good. Don't let anybody try to tell you that you can hammer them on or press them on, because I think that's too much stress on the bearing. You've got too much chance of wrecking the thing while install. The back end part isn't as worn, so it makes you wonder what was rattling around in the front. Yeah, Tits. I hear you. Like, I don't know either. Is it an induction heater? Let me just check here, Godzillionaire. I can bring it up here in a second. Let me just check here. Bearing heater. Nope. Let's see. Yeah, find that exact one I got. I bought her from Grainger, so. Maybe we'll just go to the Grainger website. Oh, yes, that's the one. Come on. There we go. Yeah, you guys can have a look at this now. Yeah, there it is. So that's what it looks like. Bearing heater. It's a cone. It was like the least expensive one I could get. I didn't think they wanted to spend, $4,000 or whatever it was for an induction heater. So yeah, this works all right. Flip it on, put your bearing on. It gives you you have a marking. What do they call those? Like a heat stick. You just mark it, and then once that little mark melts, that's your time to grab it and put it on there. So nothing fancy, but it does the job and can do different sizes. Grainger used to be where you got the heavy duty stuff. Now there are special heavy industrial sites, and you have to have it all shipped. Oh yeah. Well, we have a contract with Grainger. So the company wants to form a closer relationship with Grainger, and they've signed a contract where they will be our primary vendor. I'm sure somebody's back got scratched there, but yeah. So I do a lot of shopping at Grainger. Yeah, because these guys. Yeah, there was this one. Look at this. So this is the one I wanted. That might be a typo there. $17,000 for this bearing heater. It's got to be a typo because this one right here is only $5,000. Hey James, how you doing? You used to be able to go to Napa for tractor parts. What is worn? I'll show you what's worn, James. But yeah, this bearing heater, $5,000. Ah, this would have been such a good one. The induction bearing heater. But, oh well. I got the other one. I've made my choice. Yeah, the other one. Boom, 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 boom. It's just barely worth it. Oh, DJ, you didn't. Yeah, I'll show you the... All right, James, have a look at this. Here is the pump. This is what I worked on today. I was putting it back together. It sounds legit. Look at the construction and features. Exactly. So that's what's worn inside, James, if you have a look. This is where the front bearing sits on the pump shaft. And at the very bottom is a giant groove. Like you can see it there. That is not supposed to be there, and that is causing all sorts of trouble. Like this thing is just... Yeah, it's causing a lot of trouble. Keyboard application is upsetting. It changed your dang words. Such a live chat to even see tits and rig. Oh, yeah. Make sure you guys are in live chat, eh? You want to see everybody's comments. Explains why Bukowski and Democrat writers read the same. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. There you go. So there you are, James. That's what's worn out. And I don't think there's any good way to fix that or even get it. Well, it's not financially viable, I think, to repair that. So, yeah. And then I go over here to where that's the bearing that was sitting there, and it has flat spots on it. You can just barely make them out. I don't know how good the quality is coming over across YouTube, but on the very top of that bearing, you'll see flat spots. You should be able to see them. And that's from the outer race spinning. And the outer race is not supposed to spin. It's the inner race on this one that's supposed to spin. Outer race is supposed to stay stationary, but it has been spinning and causing problems. Lathe and sleeve, best fix. Yeah. Yeah, I could probably make up a sleeve. Then we'd have to try to fit it to the bearing size. Yeah. Sometimes it is just less hassle. Yeah, less hassle, but also cost effectiveness. That's what they're going to look at, right? The bean counters, they're going to be like, well, that costs this much, you know. There we go. So that's what was going on today. And these are still pictures from a couple months earlier, that same pump. Different problem though. The thing that happened that time was the cages just cratered on the one bearing. And that's what happened. And then all the balls went to one side, and then it caused a lot of the direction to pinch. And so the shaft flexed, and then it kicked out the breaker on the motor. So that was that's what happened the last time. Changing bad new parts, bad from OEM parts is just a different bottle of aspirin. Yeah, it is. Yeah, parts can come from the factory already buggered up. I've seen that before. And it's like you expect them to come from the factory to be, you know, in good shape, and they don't show up that way. And it's like, well, why did I pay you all this money for? You guys better send me some replacements, PDQ. So yeah. And that is that for that guy. But yes, a bearing heater. Such a handy thing to have. I recommend anybody who deals with lots of bearings, have yourself a bearing heater, whether it be an induction one or whether it's like a cone style one. Lifetime sealing bearings, Dr. Eelvoice. Right. Exactly, James. All right, well, I think we'll start wrapping things up here, everybody. That was a good show. I had fun. I hope you did too. We learned a few things. Saw some of the highlights of the news about things that are coming around. Be careful of what was it now? Oh yes, the undocumented migrants getting legal status. And the Boeing. Be careful flying out there. Watch out for Boeing. Just because they can pay their way out of trouble doesn't mean that their planes aren't going to fall out of the sky again. Heaters help you get your bearings. Yeah, they do, tits. You bet they do. The polystyrvert for recycling styrenic plastics. There's a mechanic on YouTube uses a freezer to install parts into the differential. You can find. Okay, yeah, that's for shrinking, for sure. I've seen that done before too. When I worked for a company that made excavator booms and such. You guys know what an excavator boom is? Parts of excavator. There we go. Come on, show me some good images here. You know what? This up yours, Google. I like DuckDuckGo for their image. DuckDuckGo does so well. Look at this. They give you the size of the image. Work time, Alex? All right, buddy. You have yourself a good time at work. Work time, book time. Oh, okay. So you're reading your book at work. Good. Good man. Okay, so here we go. Boom. That's this thing here. We would make parts for excavators. Boom. The arm. We called it the stick. It was the boom, the stick. We would make the buckets. We would make new cabs to go on. It was pretty heavy duty stuff. So we would make, like you're saying, the guy uses the fridge. So we would shrink down the inserts to go inside the boom for the pins. We had dry ice, and we would use dry ice to shrink the rings, and then they would get hammered into the ends of the arm here, and then obviously they would expand into place, and that's how they would stay there. So yeah, shrinking things down for doing that. That's common practice out there for the things. So I have seen that done before. An excavator boom was when you plowed that fat chick behind the excavator and she said she wouldn't tell anyone. Only you, eh, tits? Yeah. Learning is fun, yeah. Yes, it was a hardened. We called them bosses. I don't know if that was the correct term or not, but we called those bosses. And yeah, you would shrink them down with the dry ice, put them in, and then they would expand with the heat. And then you put the pin in to connect the bucket to the arm, or to connect the arm to the boom. Just stuff like that. Better to have that piece wear than, because they were hardened, yeah. Yeah, and we'd also cut the tracks and make bigger, like taller stuff for like logging industry. Because this is what you'd use on the road. But if you want a logging excavator, you're going to want a taller cab and taller treads. Hardened Race, Death Race 2000. Almost, DJ. Almost. So yeah, we could put log loader. We used to call them log loaders. Excavator. Yeah. So you say these are different. These guys have a taller cab. They have taller treads, more clearance underneath. Yeah, pretty much similar idea. O2 Bung, O2 Boss, same thing. Yeah. There you go, James. We're talking the same language. We know what we're saying. But yes, we would make log loading excavators. And like I say, these things were taller cabs. We'd make the cabs. The guys would get the panels cut out on the burning table. They would cut out new booms, new arms, and their own. They would make the attachments that would go with it. It was quite the setup. And it was either John Deere or Hitachi, some Komatsu. But there it is. There's one. See if that's a pretty big picture. There you go. So yeah, we would build the tracks higher for more ground clearance, taller cab, beefy boom, and a beefed up arm. And then, yeah, you would put on whatever attachment you wanted. Otherwise, you're in the mud with those. Yeah, exactly, Tits. Yeah, you want to be high up, and you got to be careful with those trees too. I've heard some horror stories of guys that didn't have. Well, this one doesn't have it. It looks like, but we would also make guards for the windows, like thick ones. Like we're talking 5/8 diameter rod, and or round stock, 5/8 diameter round stock. Because we've heard of stories of trees swinging into the cab and just pushing the guy out through the back window. And that is, that's not so good. You would think wide treads a la Russian tank so it didn't sink in the mud come spring thaw. Yeah, I mean, those treads are pretty wide. I'm sure people could come and get, order up wider ones for them. Yeah, let's see what it says about track log loader. Track log loader. And to travel on the highway, you could actually fold this cab down. It would lay down with an electric pump and cylinder. You could just push that, and the cab would. It might even show you here the pivot points on the front. Not that one so much. But there's pivot points, and it would just lay down for transport on the highway, so it wouldn't crash into overpasses. Dotson made a good one. A neighbor of yours still had his 71. That's a don't F around and find out job for sure. Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, this stuff is... even building this stuff is dangerous. I mean, I have a few stories about when I worked there, and I even had I was part of the cleanup crew, and that involved cleaning up the attachments. So the welders would weld up the attachments, and then I would have to clean them up before we were painting. So knock off all the tacks that they put on there, sand it, or use a sanding pad to clean it up for painting. They should put mech hands in place of the bucket. This is almost the closest you'll get to operating a mech there, DJ. Look at this thing. It looks like it's had a little bit of a rough life. Look at those things. They look bent already. That's not even a proper guard. I would never even use that if I was going to move logs. You can dock multiple excavators together. Oh yeah. It's not just a logger, it's a transformer. Does it count as mecha? Almost. Yeah, let's see what else we got here. Ma'am, Bob got hit in the face with a tree today. Well, we're still searching for his parts. Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Or the things, sometimes these things will roll over. And that's an ugly thing too. That can get really nasty looking. Most of the welding shops in your area make those claw saws, tree grabbing attachments for the logging. Oh yes, yep. 100% David. Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think they call them feller bunchers. At least that's the word I heard when I was there. Give you a hand so you can get started with the funeral. A literal hand. Ooh. Way to be macabre there, DJ. Yeah, these are. I'm glad I got a chance to spend some time with these machines. There we are. There's a nice Hitachi looking one. But you see how high up you have to be. Some of them you climb up the side like this one, but other ones you climb up the front of the machine, come around, and then climb into the back of it, which is that's pretty neat. Yeah, there's one there. Could that be? See, it's got a railing so you don't fall off the back as you're climbing around, and it's got the door in the back. Oh, it's tough to see. There we go. That's a little better. But yeah, you climb up the front of the machine, come around here, and then there's the back door you climb into. Yeah, I could spend a whole stream talking about working in the fabrication shop that made these. It was pretty. It would come to us as a well, almost just like this. It would come to us in better shape, but it would just be the top of the machine, and then the bottom half would come separate, and then we'd have to put the two together. Sometimes we'd build our own counterweights with gas tanks in them as well. So they would have gas tanks in a counterweight. It was quite the setup, quite the thing they would build. Actually, let's see if we can find. See if they have a 992. Because that's the John Deere version I know most about. No, not a Caterpillar. John Deere. There we go. The 992 was pretty huge. They've probably got, oh, is that it? 992D. I think we were up to E by the time I was around there. But yeah, there it is, out working in the forestry. This is why you need at least a C+ in physics, because inertia is karma. Yeah, it is. Always watch what you're gonna do. Know where your forces are. I think that's the most important thing. Yeah, we need some better pictures. That guy's pretty large, but he's a D, 992D. Caterpillar's Chinese made these days. Oh, say it ain't so, James. That one comedian's deadpan delivery, Stephen Wright, he was funny. Oh, Stephen Wright was good. I spilled some spot remover on my dog last night. I can't find him anymore. That was great, the way he would do his deadpan delivery. Very dry humor. Yeah, with masses involved, you do. Yeah, with the mass that you get involved with, you just try to be as careful, as slow as possible. Things go wrong in a hurry real quick. Yeah, no good ones, though. Oh well. I should look and see if I can find some old photos that I have. Because I took some photos as I worked there, but I have to find them and scan them into my computer because, it was taken with an old-fashioned 35mm camera. For you youngins, that's one that used real film, not digital at all, before the days of a readily available digital camera. But yeah, good idea for another stream, you guys. Maybe I'll do that. There we go. All right. John Deere is against farmers repairing their own property, tractors, combine. Yes, I disagree with John Deere 100%. That's stupid of them and their stupid software. So, yeah, the John Deere, bunch of crooks. You still think Case is produced domestically? Yeah, okay. Yeah, Case. They're good. I've driven one of their loaders. Peppy little thing. I think it was an 821. Yeah, you couldn't stop that thing. Oh, it was great. Lots of jam. All right, I'm gonna wrap her up here, folks. It was a very good extended trades talk a bit. So I'm glad we were able to get on to some of these topics you guys like and have a good time about it. So please do me a favor, like the stream, subscribe if you haven't already, spread the word, let everybody know I'm out here. And make sure you watch some of these other guys too that I tune into. People like Ronan66 and Blaine from Blaine's Escape Corner. There's DJ Ronnie G, who's in the chat. He's always fun to watch if you like turtles and astronomy and tech stuff. Tune into DJ. There's Angry Canadian. There's the Nerdtorial Lifeform. I'm trying to do this off the top of my head. I can't find my sheet that I wrote everything down on. I know there's other guys too, like Pacific 4 and 4. Yeah, so take a tune into those guys. They're fun to watch. Coming up Saturday, more Dragon Quest IV. I am really liking this. Things are starting to come together now. I've played through a lot of groups of people, and now I'm finally back to where I was in the beginning as my character. So it's coming around. I'm liking this. That'll be 9 a.m. Mountain Time, Saturday morning. After that, it's Sunday Anime Chat. The theme of this month is reincarnation. So come join me on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. as I look at some anime shows that deal with the theme of reincarnation. And I hope we'll discover some hidden gems out there that you guys will take an interest in and maybe watch. After that, it's Tuesday again. That rolls around. Another stream of Trades Talk Tuesday. Come by and learn about the skilled trades, and we'll discuss some heavy-duty topics from an industrial point of view, because it's what I like to do. So you looked up a cost of the combine recently. It was roughly $500,000, maybe in 5 years. Back, maybe New Holland. Oh. You're against John Deere blocking repairs because you're for eating food. Yes. Exactly. You're not a ruminant. You can't live on sticks and grass. Yeah, I guess. Not with that attitude. Last Sunday's edition of Sunday Anime. Oh, thanks, DJ. Thanks for dropping that in the chat there. I appreciate that. A little bit of doing a little bit of wrenching there. Appreciate it. You can live on squirrels and fish. He gave someone to remove the fish from. Oh yeah. Yep. It's amazing what you can do if you put your mind to it. Touching flapping fish skeeves you out. Oh no. We knew DJ's weakness. All right, guys. I had a fun time. I hope you did too, and I hope to see you guys on Saturday or Sunday, depending on what you want to see. But until then, I've been Pop, and I am signing off.